Hello! In this tutorial I'll teach you how can you extend our local diagrams according with your business needs. So let's log in our framework, choosing the advanced workspace, and let's just open here a local diagram so you can understand what we are talking about. So let's just open here a service. So the focus of this tutorial is to teach you how can you extend these tasks here. They appear every time that you are creating a low-code diagram, this logic diagram. So how can I add new tasks in here? So to do that, we need to show the advanced items, so we can go to the corresponding place where these tasks or this user-defined task it will be. So inside of the library tab you have the external library, and in here you have a folder called Code Workflow Editor, and inside you have another folder called Tasks. So everything that you drop or that you upload inside of these tasks, it will affect what will appear in these menu tasks. So basically currently what we have here is inside of this logic group we are showing this task here, user task 4, and inside of the group tests we are showing these two tasks, user task 1 and user task 2, and additional the user task 3. So basically the systems, it will check if already exists the specific groups that you are creating here. If they are, it will add the specific test to that group, so it will check the logic group if it already exists, and it does, it exists in here, the logic group, and it will add these user tasks 4 at the end of that group, and here it is the task, user task 4. Additionally, you'll check if exists the group test, which doesn't exist, but it will add automatically the group and with the correspondent tasks, the user task 1, user tasks 2 and user tasks 3, which are these tasks here. Now, how can you extend and how can you create a new task? Okay, so all that information we have in our documentation explained, but basically we can analyze a task that is already created here. So by default in our demo we have this dummy task that you can explore, but if you don't have this, you can always go to our internal library, to org, PHP framework, scroll down, go to workflow, tasks and programming folder, and automatically all tasks that you are seeing in here are inside of this folder. So you can just expand one of them and see the correspondent contents. But basically let's analyze the tasks that we have here as a demo. So basically we can analyze this one, the first one. So basically the files that are mandatory are only two files, which is this settings.xml file and the workflow task implementation or imp.php. So it's only these two files that you need. Basically, if we click in this file here, we can see the code where basically what this has is, it has the correspondent namespace, then it has the class which needs to have this name, which needs to extend this other class, and then needs to have three methods, which are this method, this method and this method. It only needs to contain these three methods. This first method is every time that the system tries to analyze some native code, some programming codes, it will read that code and it will check if there is any part of that code that belongs to this specific task, and if it does, then it will design the diagram based with this task. So basically the code here is to tell our system if a specific code belongs to this specific task or not. Then the parse properties method, it's to parse the properties that are saved in that specific task, and then the print code method, which basically contains the codes to print the task code of a specific diagram. This is when the system tries to generate the code automatically from a diagram that we draw. This is the method that corresponds to the code of that task. So each task has a method like this, which will then print the specific code according with the properties that that task has in the diagram. So all of this is explained in our documentation. And then we have the XML file. The XML file basically it tells the tag of the task. It needs to be a unique tag. This is what identifies this task as unique. Is like an ID of the task, so you cannot have replicate ones. This is the label. This is what appears in the menu when you are seeing the task. And then you have here a bunch of files, mainly the task property HTML file, which when you click in the properties of the task, this will be the content that it will appear, which is this file here. If we go to this user task 4 and if we click the properties, it will show this HTML, this specific HTML. And then has a bunch of other files that you can include, CSS, JavaScript files and other files. Then we have other settings that basically define the behavior of your task. It defines the behavior when you click with the right click or when you show the menu for that specific task, which type of menus should be shown or hide, what are the callbacks that should be called when a task is created, when a task is loaded, when we load the properties, when we save the properties of a specific task. So as a bunch of callbacks. All of these callbacks are explained in our documentation. And then as other information here too. So basically it's in this XML file where you set what is the file for the HTML properties and other CSS or JS files. Then inside of the CSS file, this is where you define what is the icon to show in your task. So currently this one, they don't have any in the CSS. Let's see if any of these ones have a logo. Example, perfect, this one has. Okay, so here it's where you define the correspondent logo. This is the normal logo and this is on mouse over logo. This is the icon of the task that appears in the tasks menu in the right side when you are editing the diagram flow. So this is where you define, and this is going to the image biggie.svg, which means that svg is in here, which is. So basically these the only files that you need to edit. So it's much easier. Just go to an existing task, like going to the internal library and going to the workflow task programming, and just copy one. Well, in this case you cannot copy, but you can download and then you can upload if you wish. In here you just do the upload of the downloaded file that you got, and then automatically from here you edit the corresponding files. But it's very important that you go to our documentation and you understand what you are doing. So automatically after you do that, after you upload this file and be sure that you have all the correct syntax and the correct settings in here, when you load a diagram like this, a local diagram to create your own logic, automatically to add your new tasks in here, in the correspondent groups in the tasks menu. And that's it. Thank you very much.